Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Major Stephen Marr, Director of Training. Welcome to the 24th Annual Superintendent's Commendation Award Ceremony. We'll start the program by asking everyone to please rise. The Troop G Color Guard will now present the colors, which will be followed by the singing of the National Anthem by Trooper Ryan Hatzel. With the exception of the Color Guard, division members in uniform will stand at attention, no hand salute.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Trooper Hatzel. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. In a moment, we will be joined on the dais by those members who will be honored this morning. At this time, I would like to introduce the dais. The first gentleman on my left is Deputy Superintendent Kenneth Cook, Officer in charge of the Internal Affairs Bureau. Next is Superintendent of the New York State Police, James McMahon. To the Superintendent's left is First Deputy Superintendent Wayne Bennett, Second in Command of the New York State Police. To the First Deputy Superintendent's left is Deputy Superintendent James Fitzgerald, who is in charge of all uniform and BCI field operations. The next gentleman is Deputy Superintendent David Mack, who is in charge of facilities management. To Deputy Superintendent Mack's left is Assistant Deputy Superintendent William DeBlock. Colonel DeBlock supervises all Bureau of Criminal Investigation operations. Seated to the left of Colonel DeBlock is Assistant Deputy Superintendent David Chrysler. Colonel Chrysler supervises all uniform operations. I now would like to ask the Superintendent to present the awards and Colonel Cook to narrate the presentations.
Thank you. It is a privilege for me to participate this year in the presentation of the awards. The New York State Police takes great pride in the outstanding accomplishments of its employees. Each day throughout the year, state police members from all areas of the state distinguish themselves in the performance of their duties, some to the extent of giving their lives. Right now, as we participate in this ceremony, like those members we are going to talk about here today, troopers all over the state are diligently performing their duties in the finest traditions of the state police. This past year, many of our members were commended by the superintendent for outstanding police service during the course of carrying out their daily task. It is from this large number of candidates that final selections are made for the Brummer Award and the Superintendent's Commendation Awards. After the award recipients are announced, Superintendent McMahon will make the presentations. Kindly refrain from applauding until after the individual members have received their awards. Our first presentation is the Brummer Award. This award was established in 1968 by Wall Street financier and philanthropist Bertram F. Brummer as a means of rewarding valor, heroism, and outstanding performance of duty by members of the New York State Police. It should be mentioned that since our inception in 1917, a total of 108 troopers have given their lives in the performance of duty. Since it was established, the Brummer Award has been given 73 times, including 8 times posthumously. Will Trooper Arno Lipissar, Investigator Anthony Bailey, and family members in attendance please come to the stage? At this time, I would also ask retired Trooper Gail Tupper and Corrections Officers James Dumont and family members in attendance to please come to the stage. Retired Trooper Gail Tupper and Corrections Officer James Dumont are being awarded New York State Police Certificates of Appreciation for their assistance in this incident. Trooper Lipissar is a repeat recipient of the Brummer Award. On November 18, 1999, a vehicle being operated by a Malone woman ran off the roadway and plunged into the Salmon River. Corrections Officer Dumont, on his way home from work, came upon the partially submerged vehicle with the victim trapped inside pleading for help. Officer Dumont immediately dove into the near-freezing water attempting to rescue the desperate victim. Shortly thereafter, Trooper Lipissar and at that time Trooper Bailey arrived at the scene and without hesitation repeatedly dove down into the frigid water in an attempt to free the unfortunate victim from the vehicle, which by now was completely submerged in 15 feet of water. Unfortunately, the extremely cold water temperature, estimated to be in the mid-30s, eventually sapped the strength of the rescuers and prevented further rescue efforts. While awaiting division and county divers, retired Trooper Gail Tupper, who lived nearby, was contacted and immediately responded with his personal diving equipment and successfully brought the now unconscious woman up to the awaiting rescue personnel. Regrettably, despite the courageous and dedicated efforts of the rescuers, the woman could not be revived. Disregarding their own safety, Trooper Lipissar and Investigator Bailey, along with Officer Dumont and retired Trooper Gail Tupper, put their own lives at great risk in order to save the life of another. Their courageous and decisive actions were performed in the highest traditions of the New York State Police and the Department of Corrections. Trooper Arno Lipissar. Investigator Anthony Bailey. Retired Trooper Gail Tupper. Corrections Officer James Dumont. The recipients of the Superintendent's Commendation Award have been selected from the 187 members who have received Superintendent's Letters of Commendation during this past year. The Superintendent's Commendation Awards presented here today are in recognition of extraordinary performance of duty or exceptional contributions to the New York State Police. Making the decisions on who would receive these awards has been an extremely difficult task for the awards panel. Will Senior Investigator John Ensel, Senior Investigator Paul Jackson, Senior Investigator Kevin Kendall, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. Investigator Kendall is a repeat recipient of the Superintendent's Commendation Award. On Mother's Day, May 9, 1999, a female resident of the city of Salamanca was reported missing when she failed to return home from an afternoon jog. Senior Investigator Ensel took the initiative and offered state police assistance to the Salamanca Police Department to help locate the missing nurse and mother of 2 young children. The next day, her body was recovered buried beneath a pile of debris along a local biking path. Investigation indicated that she had been raped and murdered. Senior Investigator Ensel quickly organized and skillfully directed a team of state, city, and county police personnel who by late that same afternoon developed a 15-year-old suspect. Senior Investigators Kendall and Jackson, who were at that time investigators assigned to the team, skillfully and patiently interviewed the juvenile suspect and obtained his confession. The exceptional ability displayed by Senior Investigators Kendall and Jackson in obtaining the confession, as well as the dedication, skill, and initiative displayed by Senior Investigator Ensel in bringing this investigation to a successful conclusion, reflect the highest traditions of the New York State Police. Senior Investigator John Ensel. Senior Investigator Paul Jackson. Senior Investigator Kevin Kendall. Will Captain Peter Person, Senior Investigator John Donahue, Investigator Thomas Buckley, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. Captain Person is a repeat recipient of the Superintendent's Commendation Award. On January 20th, 1995, a 16-year-old boy was reported missing by his mother when he failed to return to his home in Messina. A 4-year investigation involving members of the Troop B Violent Crimes Investigation Team and other Troop B investigators eventually identified a suspect in the murder of the missing teenager. Information was developed that indicated that the suspect, who was an acquaintance of the victim, had murdered the teenager at a remote camp on the banks of the Grass River. He then attempted to dispose of the body by burning it and then discarding the remains into the river. Simultaneous with the arrest of the suspect, an intensive and meticulous search of the crime scene and adjacent river bottom resulted in the securing of bone fragments and other evidence critical to the prosecution of the case. Captain Person, Senior Investigator Donahue, and Investigator Buckley all played key roles in this lengthy investigation. Their perseverance and dedication in bringing this case to a successful conclusion were in keeping with the highest traditions of the New York State Police. Captain Peter Person. Senior Investigator John Donahue. Investigator Thomas Buckley. Lieutenant Robert Patnaud, Senior Investigator John Graham, Investigator James Martin, and family members in attendance, please come to the stage. Senior Investigator John Graham is a repeat recipient of the Superintendent's Commendation Award. In January 1999, Walmart loss prevention personnel requested state police assistance with a shoplifting ring operating in the Utica area. This very well-organized criminal enterprise was responsible for moving over $2 million in stolen property each year. A special detail was formed utilizing personnel from Troop D, CNET, Central, and SIU, as well as the Attorney General's Office and Walmart Security. Over the course of the next 5 months, the detail utilized surveillances, wiretaps, and undercover personnel to gather evidence against the perpetrators of this criminal operation. On June 29, 1999, 26 search warrants were executed at various residences and businesses in the Utica area, which resulted in the seizure of over $500,000 worth of stolen property, several vehicles and weapons, and over $20,000 in cash. In December of 1999, a grand jury handed down 25 indictments, including 7 indictments for the Class B felony of enterprise corruption. The skill and dedication of Lieutenant Patnaud, Senior Investigator Graham, and Investigator Martin in directing and coordinating the investigative activities of this detail were in keeping with the highest traditions of the New York State Police. Lieutenant Robert Patnaud. Senior Investigator John Graham. Investigator James Martin. Will Major Peter Lawrence, Trooper Patrick Stickler, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. Unfortunately, Trooper Randall cannot be with us today. Major Lawrence is here to accept the award on his behalf. On the afternoon of May 20th, 1999, Trooper Randall responded to a report that a man had just stabbed 2 people, stolen a vehicle, and fled the scene. While interviewing the complainant, Trooper Randall observed the perpetrator drive by in the stolen vehicle and immediately initiated a pursuit. A short time later, Trooper Stickler joined the pursuit, which eventually ended when the perpetrator was forced to abandon his disabled vehicle and flee on foot towards the Canisteo River. Troopers Randall and Stickler continued the pursuit on foot into the river and quickly took him into custody. Investigation revealed that the suspect had kidnapped a woman and her 3-year-old child in New Jersey, and when she attempted to escape, the suspect stabbed her and a passerby who observed the incident had stopped to assist. Troopers Randall and Stickler's tenacious and courageous actions in pursuing and apprehending this violent kidnapper were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Major Peter Lawrence. Trooper Patrick Stickler. Will Trooper Robert Klein and family members in attendance please come to the stage? On June 12, 1999, the town of Woodstock Police Department requested state police assistance with an armed subject who, following a dispute with his girlfriend, was threatening to kill himself. Trooper Klein took up a strategic position to provide cover for town of Woodstock Police Chief Brewster, who was negotiating with the distraught subject. During those negotiations, the subject began firing shots in the direction of Trooper Klein and other police officers at the scene. As the subject approached and aimed his shotgun at Chief Brewster, Trooper Klein fired his division-issue shotgun, fatally wounding the subject. Despite grave personal risk to himself, Trooper Klein displayed great courage and exemplary performance of duty in saving the life of Chief Brewster. While it was unfortunate that efforts to end this incident peacefully were unsuccessful, Trooper Klein's actions were both justified and necessary and performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Trooper Robert Klein. Will Investigator Jerome Holland, Trooper Henry Abeal, Trooper Stephen LaValle, Trooper Stephanie Norton, and family members in attendance please come to the stage? In the evening hours of December 16, 1999, Investigator Holland and Troopers Abeal, LaValle, and Norton responded to a report of a female subject walking on the twin bridges over the Mohawk River. Upon their arrival, they located the woman kneeling on the outer railing of the bridge, threatening to jump. Investigator Holland engaged her in conversation in an attempt to dissuade her from jumping as she continued to inch her way toward the edge of the railing. Just as she turned her head, Investigator Holland lunged forward and grabbed her by the arm, while the other members quickly grasped the distraught woman to prevent her from falling into the frigid Mohawk River below. Investigator Holland and Troopers Abeal, LaValle, and Norton disregarded their own safety and put their own lives at great risk in order to save the life of this suicidal woman. The courage and decisiveness displayed by these members in preventing her tragic death were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Investigator Jerome Holland. Trooper Henry Abeal. Trooper Stephen LaValle. Trooper Stephanie Norton. Will Trooper Patrick Colgan, Trooper Peter Healy, and family members in attendance please come to the stage? On September 16, 1999, during Hurricane Floyd, SPP Peekskill received a frantic 911 call reporting that a number of people were trapped inside a restaurant in Montrose. Troopers Colgan and Healy responded and learned that 15 people were trapped inside the structure, which was surrounded by 4 feet of rushing water that was now crumbling the building's foundation. The victims were standing on the restaurant's front porch when it buckled from under them, forcing them back inside. Troopers Colgan and Healy unhesitatingly risked their own lives and swam out to the building with a rescue line. After attaching the line to the crumbling structure, the troopers successfully ferried all 15 victims to safety. The selfless efforts exhibited by Troopers Colgan and Healy in bringing these flood victims to safety were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Trooper Patrick Colgan. Trooper Peter Healy. Will Trooper James Turan, Trooper Jeremy Harrison, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. On September 16, 1999, Troopers Turan and Harrison were on patrol in the severe weather conditions caused by Hurricane Floyd when they came upon a severely flooded section of the highway in the town of Bedford. Trooper Turan observed an elderly couple trapped in their vehicle in the middle of the flooded roadway and immediately waded out to the subjects to bring them back to safety. Observing several other subjects in the houses along the flooded highway calling out for assistance, Troopers Turan and Harrison risked their own safety and repeatedly re-entered the rushing floodwaters to rescue the stranded subjects. The troopers then proceeded to check all remaining residents and vehicles in the area for possible victims, locating and rescuing an elderly woman and a young mother and her 3 children trapped in the second floor of their residence. The courageous and decisive actions of Troopers Turan and Harrison, repeatedly disregarding their own safety in order to rescue these unfortunate victims from the rapidly moving floodwaters of Hurricane Floyd, were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Trooper James Turan. Trooper Jeremy Harrison. Will Troopers Jerome Selke, Richard Tijan, Frank Santini, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. On May 19, 1999, Trooper Selke stopped to assist with what appeared to be a disabled motorist on the Southern State Parkway in Nassau County. Upon exiting his vehicle, an elderly woman advised that her husband had suddenly lost consciousness and stopped breathing. Trooper Selke immediately radioed for assistance and then proceeded to remove the man from his vehicle to begin CPR. Shortly thereafter, Trooper Santini arrived to assist, and the 2 troopers to resuscitation of the heart attack victim. Meanwhile, Trooper Tijan, while en route to assist, came upon an ambulance less than a mile from the victim, and after explaining the situation, escorted the ambulance personnel to the scene. Utilizing a portable defibrillator, they restored a steady pulse to the victim and transported the heart attack victim to a nearby hospital. The quick thinking and valiant actions of Trooper Selke, Santini, and Tijan in saving the life of this heart attack victim were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Trooper Jerome Selke, Jr. Trooper Richard Tijan. Trooper Frank Santini. Will Trooper Michael Quigley and family members in attendance please come to the stage? On September 21st, 1999, Trooper Quigley was dispatched to a medical emergency on the New York State Thruway in the town of New Paltz. Within 4 minutes, Trooper Quigley arrived at the scene where he found an elderly man apparently in full cardiac arrest. Trooper Quigley immediately began cardiopulmonary resuscitation efforts, which he valiantly continued until arrival of emergency medical services personnel. Thanks to the life-saving efforts of Trooper Quigley, the man was successfully revived and transported to a nearby hospital. Trooper Quigley's quick response to this emergency, combined with his heroic and professional resuscitation efforts, undoubtedly saved the life of this unfortunate heart attack victim. His actions were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Trooper Michael Quigley. Will Senior Investigator Michael Grogan, Investigator Guillermo Dudley, Investigator Jose Torres, and family members in attendance please come to the stage? During September of 1999, the New York Drug Enforcement Task Force initiated a multi-jurisdictional narcotics investigation targeting a Mexican-based transportation organization. The organization was believed to be responsible for the transportation of large shipments of cocaine to New York City area. Senior Investigator Grogan supervised and coordinated the activities of Investigators Dudley and Torres, who were responsible for debriefing confidential sources and analyzing numerous telephone and pager records to identify transport routes and methods of the targeted drug trafficking organization. Their efforts eventually paid off with the seizure of over 1,700 pounds of cocaine, which had been secreted within a truckload of limes in the Hunts Point area of the Bronx. The conscientious and diligent efforts of Senior Investigator Grogan and Investigators Dudley and Torres, which led to a substantial seizure of cocaine, exemplifies the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Senior Investigator Michael Grogan. Investigator Guillermo Dudley. Investigator Jose Torres. Will Investigator Alan Brown and family members in attendance please come to the stage? On April 10th, 1999, Investigator Brown was off duty visiting friends in Great Neck when he observed smoke billowing from a nearby residence. He directed friends to call 911 and immediately proceeded to the home, where he was advised that 2 elderly subjects were still inside the burning building. Investigator Brown located a 100-year-old woman and her husband in a downstairs bedroom, and after carrying the wheelchair-bound woman to safety, he then re-entered the building and helped her husband escape safety. When all of the occupants were safely outside the building, Investigator Brown attempted to extinguish the fire, pending arrival of fire department personnel. Investigator Brown's quick and heroic actions demonstrated a selfless concern for the lives of others. His actions were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Investigator Alan Brown. Will Senior Investigator Kathleen Devine, Investigator Todd Campani, Investigator David Earhart, and family members in attendance please come to the stage. At this time, I would also ask Assistant U.S. Attorney Gregory West, retired Senior Investigator Michael Perpore, and their family members in attendance to please come to the stage. Assistant United States Attorney West and retired Senior Investigator Perpore are being awarded New York State Police Certificates of Appreciation for their assistance in this investigation. On September 30th, 1991, the Special Investigations Unit received information of the illegal smuggling of untaxed cigarettes and other tobacco products from the New York State Akwesasne Reservation into Canada. A joint investigation was commenced involving the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Internal Revenue Service, the U.S. Border Patrol, U.S. Customs Service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the U.S. Attorney's Office. During the next 8 years, members assigned to this investigation dedicated countless hours of physical surveillance and other investigative efforts to uncovering an extensive criminal operation which was responsible for smuggling more than $687 million worth of untaxed tobacco and liquor products through the Akwesasne Reservation into Canada for sale on the black market. As a result of this investigation, more than 21 individuals were charged with multiple counts of various federal violations, including money laundering and racketeering. The complexity and magnitude of this case demanded exceptional patience and perseverance, which was admirably demonstrated by these dedicated law enforcement professionals who saw this case through to its highly successful conclusion. Their integrity, professionalism, and commitment reflect the highest traditions of the New York State Police and the United States Attorney's Office. Senior Investigator Kathleen Devine. Investigator Todd Campani. Investigator David Earhart. Assistant United States Attorney Gregory West. Retired Senior Investigator Michael Perpore. Will Senior Investigator Peter Contos and family members in attendance please come to the stage? On September 16, 1999, Senior Investigator Contos was traveling home from his tour of duty when he came upon a flooded area of the roadway caused by Hurricane Floyd. The operator and 2 passengers of a Jeep had attempted to drive through the waist-high water and had become disabled in the fast-moving current. The 3 subjects were attempting to push the vehicle out of the current when the vehicle began to move, pushing the operator downstream. Fortunately, the operator managed to grab onto a tree limb in the surging water. Assisted by others at the scene, Senior Investigator Contos utilized a garden hose to form a safety line to the victim, allowing him to lead the desperate man to safety. The dedication and resourcefulness displayed by Senior Investigator Contos in rescuing this man from what could have ended in tragedy reflect the highest traditions of the New York State Police. Senior Investigator Peter Contos. The next award to be presented is the Superintendent's Unit Citation Award. This award was established to recognize outstanding efforts made by members of a particular unit or detail. This year's Unit Citation Award is being presented to the Troop G, SP Duanesburg BCI unit. Would all members of this unit in attendance please rise and be recognized during the award presentation? I would ask Captain John Byrne to come to the stage and accept this award on behalf of all the unit members. Throughout the course of 1999, the SP Duanesburg BCI unit was responsible for the successful resolution of a multitude of high-profile cases. Working as a team with other urban, rural, and federal law enforcement professionals, the members of this unit participated in a variety of investigations, demonstrating a broad range of police skills and innovative techniques. Each of the members of this unit displayed exceptional teamwork and dedication, achieving a high rate of success, not only in making arrests, but also in providing district attorneys with highly prosecutable cases. In case after case, members of this unit have shown a high level of skill and diligence in securing admissions and confessions. Working long hours whenever necessary, the Duanesburg BCI unit has consistently demonstrated exceptional dedication and competence in the investigation of difficult school violence, kidnapping, prostitution, and drug-related crimes. The dedication, commitment, and accomplishments of the talented members of the Duanesburg BCI unit have been truly outstanding and continue to perform in the finest traditions of the New York State Police. Captain John Byrne. Our next presentation is the George M. Searle Memorial Award. This award was established to honor the late Deputy Superintendent George M. Searle and to promote police education. This award is given to members who have distinguished themselves in New York State Police training and educational programs. This year, 2 awards will be given. The first award winner is Zone Sergeant Mark Phillips. Would Zone Sergeant Phillips and family members in attendance please come to the stage? Over the past several years, Zone Sergeant Phillips has distinguished himself in the area of police training and education, especially in the area of recreational vehicle and watercraft training. Working with federal, state, county, and local agencies, Zone Sergeant Phillips has participated in a host of safety training programs throughout the state and has played a key role in recommending and implementing curriculum changes to improve the effectiveness of those programs. Among his most notable accomplishments is his participation in the Young Boater Safety Training Program, in which instructors volunteer their time and services to provide mandatory boating skills and safety instruction to children interested in operating boats on New York State waterways. In addition to formal training programs, he has coordinated and participated in numerous safety education programs and displays related to boating safety throughout New York State. These programs provide opportunities for the boating community to interact with troopers in a very positive, safety-reinforcing atmosphere. Zone Sergeant Phillips has made a very significant contribution to the Division's training objective of excellence through education, especially in the area of marine law enforcement and safety, making him a most deserving recipient of this award. Zone Sergeant Mark Phillips. The second George M. Searle Memorial Award is being presented to Senior Investigator Greg Mosley. Will Senior Investigator Greg Mosley and family members in attendance please come to the stage? One of the greatest challenges facing law enforcement today is the issue of improving police-community relations. In the forefront of this challenge are police-citizens encounters and concerns relating to racial profiling by police officers. Senior Investigator Mosley was given the task of designing and implementing a training program to address these issues and to enhance the training received by the New York State Police personnel in this critical training area. The new cultural sensitivity course developed by Senior Investigator Mosley was initially offered to field training officers and basic school recruits in August of 1999. Due to the overwhelming positive response of members receiving this training, The course was extended to all in-service training for troopers, as well as the basic supervisory schools for commissioned and non-commissioned officers. Following a special presentation made by Senior Investigator Mosley to the New York State Affirmative Action Advisory Council on racial profiling, the Department of Criminal Justice has requested that this training program be made available to all municipal police agencies throughout the state. Senior Investigator Mosley's dedication and commitment to police training, and most notably his efforts in the development and implementation of his highly successful Cultural Sensitivity Training Initiative, make him a most deserving recipient of this year's George M. Searle Memorial Award. Senior Investigator Greg Mosley. Reducing accidents through public education and enforcement of the vehicle and traffic law. This year's award winner is Trooper Timothy Hard. Will Trooper Timothy Hard and family members in attendance please come to the stage? I would also ask that Mr. John Vandervoort, who is the trustee of the Trooper Foundation Board of Directors, please come to the stage at this time to assist Superintendent McMahon with the presentation of this award. Trooper Hard, stationed at SP New Scotland in Troop G, has most convincingly demonstrated dedication and commitment to traffic safety by his outstanding record of vehicle and traffic law enforcement. He has been especially vigilant in helping to remove intoxicated drivers from our roadways. In 1999, he made 563 vehicle and traffic law arrests, 46 of which were for driving while intoxicated. Trooper Hard was twice honored by Albany County Stop DWI program for his enforcement efforts in this area. In addition to making school presentations, Trooper Hard has volunteered his own off-duty time as a volunteer reader at the Montessori School in Amsterdam. He also serves as a field training officer and a division scuba diver. Trooper Hard's dedication to enforcement of vehicle and traffic laws has made a significant contribution to preventing loss of life and serious injuries on our highways, making him a most deserving recipient of this year's Traffic Safety Award. Trooper Timothy Hard. The next award to be presented this morning is the William V. McDonough Community Service Award. This award was established to honor the late Trooper William V. McDonough, who was killed in the line of duty on December 14, 1975. Trooper McDonough actively participated in community events, and this award recognizes division members for their exceptional community service efforts. This year's award is being presented to Trooper James Simpson. Will Trooper James Simpson and family members in attendance please come to the stage? Trooper Simpson, currently assigned to Troop D headquarters, has over the course of his career with the State Police been an inspiring individual with an ability to motivate the community into action. His enthusiasm and dedication to community events has inspired others to join him in numerous fundraising and community service programs. One of his greatest accomplishments has been his long-term commitment to the Utica chapter of the American Heart Association. For the past 18 years, he has been the director of the American Heart Association's America's Greatest Heart Run and Walk program, which under Trooper Simpson's leadership grew from 118 participants raising $18,000 in 1982 to this year's event of over 8,000 participants raising over $1 million. Trooper Simpson's community service work has been exemplary and has been acknowledged on numerous occasions by legislative leaders citing his dedication to community service and service awards received from organizations such as the American Legion and Kiwanis Clubs. Trooper Simpson's unselfish dedication to community service has no doubt had a very significant impact on the people of his community, making him most deserving of this year's William McDonough Community Service Award. Trooper James Simpson. The next awards to be presented are the Civilian Employee Recognition Awards. These awards publicly recognize and provide a tangible reward to eligible employees in recognition of distinguished or extraordinary acts or outstanding performance of duty. Will Mr. David Lewis, Mr. Michael Leonard, and family members in attendance please come to the stage? At this time, I would also ask Jonathan Politis, Paul Tassino, Ronald Baker, and their family members in attendance to please come to the stage. These three members of the Colony Emergency Medical Service Department are being awarded New York State Police Certificates of Appreciation for their assistance in this incident. On November 27, 1999, the Aviation Unit received a request for a helicopter rescue in Columbia County. A motorist had attempted to cross the rain-swollen Kinderhook Creek in his pickup truck and had become stranded on a tiny island surrounded by the dangerous and swift-moving waters of the creek. Division pilots David Lewis and Michael Leonard, accompanied by Town of Colony paramedics Jonathan Politis, Ronald Baker, and Paul Tassino, immediately responded and flew to the scene. Maintaining the helicopter in a perfect hover directly over the stranded victim, paramedic Tassino was lowered to the hypothermic victim, who was then placed in the rescue harness and lifted to safety. The timely, highly skilled, and professional teamwork displayed by Division pilots Lewis and Leonard and paramedics Politis, Baker, and Tassino in successfully executing this demanding rescue operation most likely saved the life of this young man. Their heroic actions were performed in the finest traditions of the New York State Police and the Town of Colony Colony Emergency Medical Service Department. Mr. David Lewis. Mr. Michael Leonard. Mr. Jonathan Politis. Mr. Ronald Baker. Mr. Paul Tassino. Will Mr. John Rellis and family members in attendance please come to the stage? During the last 7 years that Mr. Rellis has served with the division as an aircraft mechanic, he has continuously displayed a remarkable devotion to duty and competence. Since 1993, Mr. Rellis has relentlessly worked to establish and maintain military contacts, which have enabled him to procure over $1.5 million in military surplus parts and equipment critical to the operation of the Aviation Unit. Mr. Rellis also serves as the Aviation Unit Aircraft Maintenance Safety Officer. By setting up biannual medical physicals, organizing material safety data sheets, and procuring personnel protection equipment, he was instrumental in raising this unit's level of safety awareness. In addition, Mr. Rellis spent many hours training personnel in the proper use of safety equipment and in motorized ground support vehicle safety. Mr. Rellis has distinguished himself by his exceptional devotion to duty, exemplary work ethic, and continued support of division goals, and is most worthy of this Employee Recognition Award. Mr. John Rellis. The collective efforts of all our members and employees are truly outstanding. and it has been a privilege and a pleasure to narrate these awards today. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Cook. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Superintendent of the New York State Police, James McMahon.
Thank you, Major Myron. Good morning, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. We're pleased to have you with us, and to the honorees and the families and the friends and so many of our retirees here, many of them that I can count as my mentor, and I'm sure many of us can, and our colleagues and the people that built the tradition, that the people that walked across the stage and the rest of us were able to continue. And we welcome you to what we think is a very important, if not the most important celebration we do in the Division of the Year. It is great to see all the families. I think we've set some history here today. One of the award winners, Pat Stickler and his wife, are mother and father of quadruplets. I think that's the first time we've had that here, and they were great coming across the stage. Congratulations, they look real healthy. Talking about families, Bobby Klein said there was much more pressure today trying to get his son across the stage than there was in that harrowing experience he went through in Ulster County. But it's great when we get a chance to recognize our employees and people that work so closely with us, people that go the extra mile and demonstrate the commitment and the dedication and the courage that's synonymous with being a trooper and an employee of the Division of State Police. When you listen to the past year's heroics we did here, it's tremendous. But as Brother Gregory said and Colonel Cook said, we need to also remember our fallen heroes. And this is a week during National Police Memorial Week that we do that nationwide. And as was mentioned on our wall of honor out front, there's 108 people, members of the division, who gave their lives so others could live their lives better. The State Memorial for Law Enforcement, which we had a ceremony with the governor 2 days ago. There's over 1,000 names of law enforcement officers throughout New York State on that. And this week there's a celebration or a remembrance service in Washington at the National Police Monument with over 15,000 names of law enforcement officers that have given their lives. And when you think of that, we have to remember there's a price to pay for the freedoms that we enjoy so much in this country. And I don't think we can ever forget that, and especially we can't forget the men and women, especially those troopers who gave their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice for the betterment of this state and our country. Dale Carnegie once said, most of the most important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept trying where there seemed to be no help at all. And I think what he was talking about obstacles and the ability to keep going when those obstacles seem insurmountable. Natural disasters, violent crimes, complex criminal investigation, saving lives of people that were endangered by raging waters or burning buildings, and saving people from taking their own lives because they were so distraught. We heard about those things today. And those were situations where others would have looked at the obstacles and would have succumbed to the obstacles. But these people who walked across the stage today, our troopers, our employees, they overcame those obstacles and they kept going. And in doing so, these ordinary people who have families, as we saw, mortgages, tuition payments, car payments, some working 2 jobs, accomplished very extraordinary feats. And they did that with courage and dedication and commitment to public service and good old perseverance. We've heard their stories. And these stories weren't made for TV stories. There was no time scripts or stuntmen to do the dangerous acts. These were situations involving human beings, human tragedy. And they unfolded rapidly right in front of our members' faces. And they called for split-second decisions and courage, and in many instances called for them placing their own lives in jeopardy, like Trooper Bob Klein did in Ulster County, like our Brummer Award winners, Tony Bailey and Arnold Lipperzar did. And so many other examples we heard today from troopers and investigators, from aviation unit pilots accompanied by volunteers from the Colony EMS who placed their own lives in danger to save another life. This is truly amazing because, they do it without a second thought. And they go home like it's just another day. And they're back the next day to do it again, no matter what they're called on to do. We've also heard stories of great investigative acts, heinous crimes, hard to comprehend, brutal murder of a 16-year-old in the North Country, or the violence of a 15-year-old in a rural western New York area, murdering a mother and sexually assaulted her, a crime that stunned the community. And we've heard about sophisticated criminal enterprises, the one in particular in Troop D that was brought down, largest one in the history of Central New York by diligent police work by our Troop D members. And the SIU investigation on the Canadian border, which took painstaking work over 6 years, tremendous documentation, tremendous investigative fortitude to bring it down. And when that was brought down, people said we probably wouldn't be able to get convictions on that because it was too complicated for a jury to understand. And there was a U.S. attorney we worked with, Greg West, who walked across the stage. He understood it. He understood how much it was costing taxpayers, and there was convictions on each and every case because he was right there from the start to the finish with our investigators. These are amazing stories that often go untold. In fact, in several of the cases, our people who were off duty did these events, these actions, and went home without telling anyone. And they're occurring, these stories, and they're untold at a time when people are quick to criticize those in law enforcement. And in many instances now, for some unknown reason, they're trying to make law enforcement the enemy. And when you think of what you heard today, this is the law enforcement officers that we know. These are the people that we're proud to say we work with. And it makes us hard to understand where these people that are painting that picture are getting their information. And it's also occurring at a time where our society is looking for positive role models. And they look at professional athletes, and they look at movie stars, and they look at pop musicians. And they're not really the ones they can find for positive role models because they really don't have the values that role models should have. But if you look at the people that walked across our stage today, men and women of character, men and women of decency and integrity, those are the real role models in our society. And our first superintendent, Colonel Chandler, said, "A patriot is one who gives his services to his country, state, or city for some worthy cause which will benefit mankind." Each of our honorees are the true patriots in our society. They sacrifice tremendously to a worthy cause, protecting our communities, saving lives, and making our state a better place to work, live, and raise a family. The families and loved ones that are here, they couldn't do that without your support. We thank you. You're equally as important in the success of the people that walked across the stage today. In closing, I want to thank Colonel Cook and the staff of his staff for the work that they put in to make today's program so successful. Major Marr and the Academy staff who always do such a great job here. To the Trooper Foundation, its Executive Director Bill Trigg and Jack Vandervoort are here for their continuing support of the New York State Police. We are honored by that support. We are honored by everybody's presence today. And on behalf of the executive staff, the entire division, to the honorees and your families, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent McMahon. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the various representatives of the law enforcement community, as well as representatives of the legislature who have joined us today. And a special thank you to the family and friends of the award recipients. There will be a photo opportunity In the main lecture hall immediately after the ceremony, a buffet luncheon is being served in our cafeteria for those that wish to remain for lunch. This concludes our ceremony, and thank you very much for your attendance.
Al, great job.